Joining us now is Reverend Bishop Cyprian Williams, who has recently been designated as an Ombudsman, a position that has been vacant since 2017. Welcome, Bishop Cyprian Williams. Good morning, SKN.
President, good morning to you and to all of your listeners.
Alrighty, it's our pleasure having you here this morning. So we'll dive right into the meat of it. Are you prepared for this position?
I think I should say yes. In terms of my life experience, being a pastor, mediator, consultant before, yes, and then also my recent studies as a mediator, international civil and commercial mediator gave me that experience to deal with these matters. So I think I should say yes.
You were preparing.
Yes.
All right, so
that's a good one.
Well, congratulations, sir.
Yes.
A lot of people, I suspect, don't really appreciate the importance of the office. I myself have some knowledge of it. I've had for roughly 20-something years. But to those who don't really understand what the Ombudsman represents and what he means for them, what can you say?
The office of the Ombudsman is established to protect the citizens and to protect and enforce the rights of the citizens. The Ombudsman is an advocator, people's protector. It is the one that goes between the government and the citizens. So for those persons who have grievances, maybe for sometimes government stay a little bit too long. Just a simple courtesy of you sending an application, no response. That is a part of maladministration. Because if you receive even an application, the government should indicate to the citizen that you're on file, we are looking into it, give some sort of update. And those are, I just want to use the simplest thing as an application. We can go into other heavier matters.
I certainly hope we will.
So what does your role entail other than what you said? To go between the government and the people and the application. What else?
Well, the role of the Ombudsman is to really make sure that the rights of the citizens are protected. If there are any person who have any grievances with any department of government, and this is government departments, government boards, corporations, government authorities. So the scope of the Ombudsman is heavy. And so we are there the office is there to make sure that the citizens' rights are protected and also to violate the processes of government. Just in case somebody has, some concern that, they're being, attacked, maybe spitefully or maybe because of their political allegiance and all of those things, the Ombudsman goes between there to make sure that the process of however it was done or the processes of government is followed in a proper way. And I will say this so that there is no bias in terms of favoritism within dealing with one person in a different way because of their gender, their look, status, and all of these. The office is there to make sure that the citizen can feel comfortable with what their government is doing. Because the government is the people's government. Yeah.
I imagine that one of the things people would be concerned about, particularly since the office has been vacant since 2017, if I'm not mistaken, is whether or not, I don't want to say you personally, but the Ombudsman generally can be independent in the way that he operates so that he's not biased or affected by the ruling party of the day. And what would you say to that? The Ombudsman is appointed by the government, the Governor General, who is the head of the government, with the advice of the Prime Minister, consultation with the Prime Minister and the leader of the opposition.
So in that stead, it means that the leader of the opposition parties have a say in terms of who is selected. For example, the opposition leader in my case could have said, well, I don't agree, or maybe let's think about it, look into it. I must say, for the comfort of the citizens, I am acting in the position. It doesn't mean that I do not have the rights or privileges, but I am acting. And so it means that there are, in terms of you're making sure you get acquainted with it, and also it is in keeping with the act. And I was, I looked at it and I said, wow, they're following the act very carefully, because it says that when there is a vacancy in the office of the Ombudsman, the Governor General must consult and place a suitable person to act. So that is the next step, because this is the first time a vacancy came in this office. And while we're on this, I must thank the Excellency Walford Gums, who was the first. He did a wonderful job, outstanding job. He was in this office from August 2008 to 2017. Because he was in that office at that time, and I must thank him publicly for meeting with me, and also for his advice and recommendations and stuff like that. And so this office is, even though it is appointed by the government, it's an independent, and I must stress this to your listeners and viewers, that is an independent office. So no one in government, outside of government, can sort of try to influence the outcome, or could you do this or do that? No, because it's an independent office. There are a few others, like the DPP is an independent, even though appointed by the government, you must operate independently.
So, Mr. Williams, that office has been vacated since 2017. So that's a good 5 years, right?
Yes.
Okay. What are some of the pressures that you experiencing now that you're in there? Your backup complaints?
Yesterday I had a meeting with someone, and I said to them, it's a different mantle. Being a pastor, people meet you anywhere and want to discuss things. But now, as the acting ombudsman, it's a different thing now, because people are now looking towards having their grievances nearly immediately resolved. I started on Monday last, and when it was announced, my first call came in very early. Wow. On Tuesday morning, and it has been like that. I can remember I went to a session, and I'm trying to monitor the game and everything, and somebody's over there calling me, and I have a situation, and I said, okay, please come and see me, because what we are trying to do, because the office has been vacant, many people do not understand the role or even the word ombudsman. And it is not new to us. And I want to say to the citizens, because it is a Swedish name, which is, the ombudsman was first appointed in 1809. So you're talking about over 200 years. Many other developing countries really see the need for the ombudsman, because if there is no in-between person, you know how much chaos we are going to be having. And I could say this, maybe this is one of the reasons why you're hearing everybody's bringing their situations to the radio stations, calling shows and everything, because there is nobody you can go to. So if I don't have nobody to go to and I have a grievance, I'm going to take it either to the street Don't like me. Okay, that's a good one. Yeah, and I still like me. Yes. Take it to the street, or you call the radio stations or somebody, because when you are hurting,
Yes.
you need to be heard. You need to be heard. And remember, government in itself is powerful. And if you have no one to speak on your behalf, or even just to listen, because sometimes it's not about you trying to solve the problem that the person is going through, but sometimes just to give them a listening ear, or to advise them, or to recommend to them your next step. And I think that is one of the role of the ombudsman, is to, because we work along with government departments, legal aid, which is one of the areas, because if there are persons coming and it's a legal matter, then my office can recommend to them, I think you can go down to legal aid and see one of the persons there who can assist you. And so, or you just take a call. It's not everything that needs a grand investigation. Sometimes, for example, I don't want to mention this one because I know there's many persons who are going through, I think, like the PAP. I've been receiving a lot of calls on that. And so just take up the phone and call somebody and say, look, please check out these names, because people have been calling. You really don't need an investigation. Yeah. And then just yesterday, someone called me, one of the persons called me and said, thank you so much, because an officer reached out to me. Nice. That is what people need.
Yes.
They need action.
All right, well, since you alluded to it, sir, the word investigations, obviously those matters don't need investigations. In your discussions with the former ombudsman, and even what you know of the role so far, do you foresee any type of investigations ensuing, not specifically, but generally? What does your role say to that?
The Act gives the ombudsman the authorization to not only approach, but to write to any one of the organizations that I mentioned before, government departments, even to the prison. And I want to say to persons, even who are in confinement, if there are grievances that you have, the authorities there cannot stop the inmates from writing to the ombudsman. The Act, or liberal rights of a citizen, gives the inmate the right to contact the ombudsman. So what will happen, and I'm going to be going into the prison to talk to the officers also of the rights of the inmates there. They will have to write, the officers will give the inmates an envelope, let them write paper, let them write to me, and then I will follow up with that case, whatever the case may be. Also, the access to the ombudsman, that if we are going to conduct an investigation, we must authorize the authority. And the authority is the head of the department. For example, most of the heads of departments are the permanent secretaries. So those are the ones that we will have to let them know that there is a case before the department, identify what the case is, and we start the investigation from there. Remember, the ombudsman is about persuasion. It's about persuasion, trying to get the government to do the right thing.
So how does one become an ombudsman?
As I indicated before, through appointment.
Through appointment, okay.
Yes.
So there's an audit, and you said you prepared, you studied and stuff, so there's nothing else. You have to be...
But you have to be appointed.
Okay.
Yes, because it's on the Governor General does the appointment with the advice of the Prime Minister, or consultation with the Prime Minister and the leader of the opposition.
Okay. Right.
Yes, which I'm very honored to be given such, an offer position, prestige, but I'm a humble person, and I think my role is to accommodate and to help the citizens in whatever way I can.
That's definitely important, sir. Is there anything in particular, before we let you go, that you would like the public to know about perhaps any expectations they might have of you as you execute this new role?
Well, I'm approachable. I'm a down-to-earth person, and so you do not have to be afraid. I think that I will accommodate any person out there in the general public who's, maybe just need to be heard at this time. But I would like to say this, that responsive, and effective government does not just happen by magic. And that is why the office, institution, and offices like the Ombudsman is important in the whole scope of democracy. And it's important. And I have one more that I would like to, I said it's going to be my final statement that I have, and I have to let me find it because it's important.
Certainly, sir.
Yes. What makes a government good? This is a question for the primary school students. What makes, and it's not a question, I'm going to answer it.
Okay.
What makes a government good is when people are valued, respected, and protected. And that is why I think the Ombudsman is important, to make sure that the citizens are valued, respected, and protected. Finally, employees or public servants must not operate as though government offices are their private business or homes.
I cannot let you go without at least asking you what that means. Something informed that.
Oh.
Because it sometimes is the way public servants operate. And I know I don't want to be coming across as though that I'm against, but you hear some of the comments that people are making. Yeah. And I'm just trying to advise public servants or encourage public servants to be a little bit much better in terms of courteous, respectful. You're not speaking down to people. Yes. Sometimes you go and it's like they're in a rush. Mm-hmm. And, I can't bother. No, we are servants of and for the people. And so people, and that is why the office of the Ombudsman only comes into, you're giving me cases only when public servants or the citizens feel as though that they're going through some situation right now. So that is what I would like to say to our public servants. Just be nice. And if we all are nice and we treat people, value people, respect people, then I don't think I will have much work to do.
That's good. I have a burning question, though. I have to ask. So the office was vacated for 6 years. Can the people demand from the government that someone is always in the office? Should that happen again?
I think that we are in the age of enlightenment. And I could say, I do not think the citizens will tolerate any type of behavior going forward from the government. No, it's not going to happen. We are in that age and that is why I think the present administration will have a task, because people are saying, okay, we expect better of you. And I don't think it will ever go back that way, because whenever there is a vacancy, someone should be appointed. Just to let you know how important it is, if I'm acting or even in the office and I have to travel, somebody has to act.
Okay, fair enough.
That is how important in terms of the act and in terms of good governance, there must be somebody acting or in the office at all times. I'm not saying station, but I mean there must be somebody that people can report to. So it is really unfortunate that for 6 years, maybe 5 years, we did not have the office filled.